lining up for Unga, and that is happening across the entire country. The cost of living has skyrocketed, putting families' basic necessities out of many people's reach. Kiambu County remains a good place from which to see the potential, promise, resilience, and frustrations of our people and what can be achieved if the government gets its priorities right and rolls out people-centered socio-economic policies. Kiambu has always produced a lot of milk. I am very pleased to say that even as the cartels have taken over so much of agricultural pricing, one institution in the milk industry is still standing strong, and that is the Githunguri Dairies Cooperative Society. Githunguri Dairies has defied all odds in the market and has continued to serve members faithfully and diligently, thus allowing many families in Kiambu to take their children to school and provide jobs for residents. Despite the best efforts of the cooperative, its earnings to the farmers have stagnated while farm inputs have gone up and consumer prices risen sharply. This is something we have to confront. Everywhere across the world, farmers are never left to struggle on their own. Our commitment is to ensure quality and affordable farm inputs, seeds and fertilizers are available closer to the farmers. Cooperatives in particular have played a great role in uplifting their members with their lives, and that is an area we need to strengthen. We paid a great attention to this area with Joe Nyaga, who was my Minister for Cooperatives in the Grand Coalition government. In our manifesto, we have promised to establish a cooperative enterprise development fund to promote agro-processing jointly with farmers organized under cooperatives. There is no reason why the Githunguri Dairies Cooperative Society would not be among the first to benefit from this fund when we take over. We also need to encourage the great tradition of women chairmas, which have enabled so many to start and grow small businesses. Kiambu and the Mount Kenya region, along with Kericho and other areas, have the most efficient smallholder farms producing world's best tea. When the British take it from here and market it outside, they call it English tea. But this is Kenyan tea. And the coffee from Kiambu was also the best in the world. These two cash crops used to earn us billions of dollars with which we used to pay our external debts. In our manifesto, we have paid a special attention to the need to revive these two sectors and to ensure that it is the farmers who are the primary beneficiaries of their production. We are committed to revitalizing the coffee and tea sectors. Full liberalization of the coffee sector is part of the NASA plan, in addition to helping farmers find markets while also writing off debts owed. We will also explore strict methods of promoting more value addition, local processing of coffee, so that Kenya's coffee can be sold to Starbucks as a finished Kenyan brand product. This is what, as you see, the Jamaicans have done better than all of us. The Blue Mountain Coffee brand in the world. Other than involvement in agriculture, Kiambu people are known for their business acumen and entrepreneurial spirit. We harness this potential. We want to facilitate trade between our people by shift focus of infrastructural development to county and rural roads, which have been neglected over the last 4 years. We also intend to implement a mass transit project interconnecting all counties. Traders from Kiambu should be able to reach Kisumu and Kisii markets in the morning and return to Kiambu in the evening if they so feel like. We will devote our fullest attention to eradicating the cancer of corruption that is destroying the fabric of our society. One reason the cost of unga and so many essential commodities is so high is because of what now has become an unprecedented corruption under the Jubilee government. Corruption is also making it very difficult for people to engage in businesses. Toa kitu kidogo, toa kitu kikubwa, toa kila kitu. All TKK. Our war on corruption is a war for a better Kenya. Another area that we have highlighted in our manifesto is the need to improve security, which I know is one of the greatest concerns in the Kiambu County because of its proximity to Nairobi. Our approach in NASA does not merely entail building police stations and deploying officers in communities, but addressing the development gaps that leave so many people despondent and lead them to crime and drunkenness. So it is not just enough to go and destroy those drinking dens and leave people despondent. You need to address the cause, not the symptoms. As a president, I will ensure that every Kenyan is safe in whichever part of Kenya they live. In all these efforts, our greatest focus will be our youth. They constitute the majority of our population and they have immense energy, which we must tap in order to take our nation forward. The reality, however, is that the youth face hardships that are unprecedented. There's a very few jobs that are open for the hundreds of thousands who leave school every year, and the youth unemployment rate is nearly 40%. That is why they fall back on illicit brews and criminal gangs, not only in Kiambu, but across the nation. In the end, all these efforts will come to nothing if we do not pull together as one people building one nation. I remain extremely committed to building a nation in which any Kenyan can live, do business, and own property in any part of the country. That is why national unity is the first item in the NASA manifesto. We mean it. It has always been my dream to follow in the footsteps of the true nationalist Kenyans and have never felt that any one community is better than or inferior to the other. I hold strong convictions about inclusion, about integrity, about democracy, and about the need for a leader to pay the fullest attention to the needs of the ordinary Kenyans. We are a great people and a great country. In spite of poor leadership, we have managed to do so many wonderful things together, even as we have faced numerous disasters and challenges. The good pro-people leadership, which mobilizes the energy of our youth, our women, and of course our men, this country will become the envy of the rest of the continent. Kiambu County continues to be central, in fact indispensable to prosperity and progress of our country. And Jubilee is now promising 6.5 million jobs in 5 years, when they have been unable to deliver 500,000 jobs in each year, which they promised last time around. When Kiambu is strong and empowered, it can help advance opportunity and empowerment not only for its residents, but for the people across the entire nation. We will lay ground for Kiambu to prosper and uplift Kenya. Thank you all. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, my name is Simenda Benjamin from Radio Africa. There has been a lot of propaganda against you on the ground. One of them is that you're a dictator, another one will take away land. Maybe you can tell us how you are going to address that in the campaigns. Then number two, the region has had 3 presidents, so definitely they have been close to power. How are you going, how will you deliver, and you're not from that region, and yet they already had 3 presidents, and you say they never delivered to them?
One is this, the propaganda you're talking about, that, oh, I'm going to take away people's land. You said, what was the other one?
You are a dictator.
A dictator. You need to know people who work around me. And I'm not living in isolation. I live in this country. I've been a prime minister. So you can ask people who have worked with me. I've been a minister for roads, public works and housing. I've been a minister for energy. I've also run a political party. So you ask people who have worked with me if I'm a dictator or not. They will tell you that the most consultative leader is Raila Odinga. So the Kenyans don't believe them. They can continue shouting out there to the birds, but I'm more concerned with what the people think of me. And most Kenyans don't believe that I'm a dictator. But there's what is called benevolent dictatorship. Was Mwalimu Nyerere a dictator? You may say yes, and so on and so forth. So you need to look at when somebody makes difficult decisions, hard decisions, that is not dictatorship. It's acting in the best interest of the people. It's a situation where the end justifies the means. Okay? But most of the times, we are all the times consulting. We don't take decisions unilaterally. And the issue of land, we have got a land policy in there. And you remember in the last Grand Coalition government, land docket was under the ODM, when James Orengo was the minister. And he introduced land reforms, and the policies which he introduced are very much in conformity with my thinking with regards to land. I believe strongly that land is a factor of production which need to be made accessible and available to people for wealth creation when people need it. The land should not be hoarded. It should not be used for speculative purposes, where people are disenfranchised or dispossessed and they become completely unable to create wealth. This is what I believe in, that land must be there for posterity purposes, for the people. The other one you asked was...
the region has had 3 presidents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we must make Kenyans to believe that there are 43 different communities living in Kenya. And each one of them should not feel inferior or superior to any other. And they should therefore not have this idea that unless our own man, a man from my ethnic community, is at the top there, I cannot benefit. Because then you're going to dismember the country. People should be secure as Kenyans under any leadership. And we must build a Kenya where the smallest tribe, an El Molo, can also be a leader, and Kenyans will be happy. Tanzania has got more ethnic communities than Kenya, over 100. And the presidents there have come from very small tribes. Mwalimu Nyerere came from a very small tribe called Zanaki. The Zanaki live around Lake Victoria there. They're a very small community. Mwinyi came from Zanzibar, which is just a small island compared to the Tanzania mainland. Mkapa comes from a very small tribe down there in Mtwapa and Mtwara, on the other side. Same thing with Kikwete, around Bagamoyo. Even now, the current president, John Paul Magufuli, come a very small sub-tribe of the Wasukuma. You see, and it is not an issue. Tribe is not an issue in Tanzania. Tanzanians are happy lot. They don't think of you as a member of this tribe and this other tribe. So Kikuyus are Kenyans. And they should not feel insecure if there's somebody else who is not a Kikuyu as a president. See, the past president was a Kikuyu. That did not stop me, Raila Odinga, as saying Kibaki Tosha. By the time I was saying Kibaki Tosha, I knew he was a Kikuyu. And I went out and campaigned for him. Why? Because he was a Kenyan, like other Kenyans. Okay? So other tribes have lived here under leadership of members of other tribes. Moi was a president. He was a Kalenjin for 24 years. So I want to give an assurance to members of the Kikuyu tribe. They will feel even more secure, more happier under a more responsive nationalist government led by Raila Odinga than under the mediocrity, which is Jubilee, in the name of Munduwakwa, Munduwamushi.
Yeah, my name is John Hirashi. Now, you mentioned the mass transit system in the manifesto, and there's some confusion, I think, within us, and some of it coming from the Secretariat, from the advisors, about two manifestos within the NASA manifesto. Could you please clarify that?
No. There are not two manifestos. First, we have the main manifesto document, which is a bigger booklet, which lays out our policy reforms on all the key sectors of our economy. Then there is a shorter, abridged version of it. And then there is an implementation point, action point document, which is simpler for people to understand, and it's explaining exactly what is in the main document. So there are no contradictions. Those documents speak to each other.
Thank you so very much. My name is Enoch Sekolia from NT. Now, getting out of today's discussion a little bit, we're talking about, my question is related to the IEBC register. You're quoted saying that the IEBC register is not yet clean. Actually, some time back, I talked to IEBC commissioner who said that the problem is not theirs, that the report by KPMG was not detailed, that the report only estimated the number of people who might be dead, but they are still voters, but they did not give the actual details of the people that are supposed to be removed. So, according to them, it was a shoddy work. I don't know what is your thinking from that.
You see, you remember, we even went to court to say that KPMG did not have the capacity to do the auditing. And the IBC defended the KPMG. And then there was one time when we wanted to reach an out-of-court settlement. When we asked the KPMG, could they say that yes, they had not done it, but that we are going to employ a company with the experience and capacity. When we asked them to name that company, they were unable to name it under the excuse that it was a customer-client issue. Well, we are here with us, and the facts has now come home to haunt the IBC, because KPMG have done nothing, and we're sure that they've been paid a lot of money. Just need to ask how much money have they been paid. Because when we've been looking for that report, our officers have gone to IBC several times to try to get that report. It's not available. When our Secretary General asked for it, Professor Agnes Zami, she was told that the report has been presented to Parliament. Parliament has been dissolved for all intents and purposes. Why do you send a report to Parliament, which has been adjourned since day? You not meet. Just excuses. Because they know that this is a shoddy work that has been done. and that there's a deliberate attempt to try to retain ghost voters in the register for the sinister motive of having them vote, even if they're not proper voters. And this is a very serious issue that needs to be addressed. And IBC is not addressing it.
Mr. Odinga, 34 days to the general election. Is there an assurance that the elections will be held from your side, bearing in mind the issues that are coming up, especially on the voter register, the ballot paper printing issues? Is there an assurance that the general election will be conducted on August the 8th? And secondly, how does this tally with other programs that NASA has come up with, for example, a doctor polling station, extra vigilance to ensure that only people who turn up and are registered as voters will turn up? How do they tally with the issues that your team has raised on the authenticity of the voter register? Is it possible to do one with the exception of the other, or they must go hand in hand?
First, let me say, put it on record here, that we as NASA are very committed to August 8th elections. Jubilee has been spreading propaganda that, NASA is afraid, they don't want the election to be held. I think the opposite is true. We have said we want to have elections on the 8th of August several times. But we said we don't just want to have any other election. These elections must be credible. They must be free, fair, and transparent. And that's why we have even said, don't just tell us you want peaceful elections. Peace follows free, fair, and transparency. That's the most important thing. It must be addressed. Are the elections going to be free, fair? Are they going to reflect the will of the people of Kenya? That's the most important issue which Jubilee must address. Instead of coming up with this jargon, NASA is afraid of elections and so on. Nobody's afraid of elections. But we want to have an electoral process which will reflect the will of the people of Kenya. Somebody can say, the people of Kenya have spoken. This is what we want. And that is what we are demanding from IEBC. Because IEBC must be a truly independent institution as stated in the Constitution. They should not be dictated from any circle. Remember, the outgoing commission had said that they had made arrangements which they don't want the incoming commission to disturb. And you can see them here. This Al-Ghuraj thing is a work of the outgoing commission. And that's why we are stuck with it. Even if the court had ruled that this tender was illegal, the IBC should begin the process afresh, they still are stuck with the Al-Ghuraj up to now. Ask yourself why. There must be something truly sinister about this. And then the issue of auditing, why should auditing become a major issue? Then you see some staff being suspended, supposedly for ABCD, and then they are reinstated again without explaining why were they suspended in the first place, what has the investigation revealed, why are they being reinstated. Some external hand is directing issues at the IBC that is interfering with the independence of the IBC. And this is an issue of serious concern to us as players. That if you have a referee who is already wearing the uniform of the team you're playing against, you're in serious trouble.
Maybe as a follow-up question to that, the printing of ballot papers is underway from 27th or thereabout, and the ones that are not yet printed for the presidential vote. Is it how do you deal with the situation? Is it a proposal that another company is awarded the tender of printing the presidential ballot paper? Or how do you go about it? Cancel the entire thing, or look for another firm to print the ballot papers for the presidency?
See, that matter is in court. We are expecting a ruling on Friday. I don't want to say anything that will be prejudicial to the case that is in the courts. So I'd rather wait until that time.
My name is Kiambu County. You have a meeting on Friday. Information that you asked, especially the youth people here, coming to that meeting to dress in a certain way, in a particular way, on a certain dress code. And we know 7/7 is synonymous with the struggle for liberation, the so-called second liberation. What specifically is the message in terms of this dress code that you ask your supporters to observe on that day?
We ask the youth to come dressed in normal dresses. Just said wear white cap and white handkerchief, a sign of peace, a symbol of peace. Because as you know, Sabasaba is a very important day in our liberation calendar, this country. Remember, for a long time we had a single party dictatorship. And when we came up to say that the time had come for Kenyans to go multi-party, because we were condemned for being diversionary, some were called ethnic chauvinists, and so on. And just a few days before Sabasaba, Honorable Kenneth Matiba, Charles Rubia, and yours truly were arrested and taken to detention. But the Kenyans, despite all that, defied the intimidation and threats and marched to Kamkunji grounds. And a number of people were killed. Many of them also found their way into prisons. So we are remembering Sabasaba, and because Sabasaba set the ground for repeal of Section 2A and allowing for a multi-party system to be introduced in our country. So that's why we now remember it as a peaceful day, a day for peace. People are going to assemble at Uhuru Park. The clergy is going to be there. There's going to be a prayer. And then from Uhuru Park, we will go to Kamkunji grounds for a rally. And that will be a peaceful rally. And we want to set the stage for peaceful elections. So we have said that every Monday there will be, henceforth from that day, a prayer for peace throughout the country until after Nani Nani. So Sabasaba to Nani Nani. Ningependa kusema ati Sabasaba yani itakuwa siku ya Ijumaa. Na siku ya Ijumaa tumewaomba Wakenya wote, sisi tutakuwa na maombi katika Uhuru Park kwa amani. Alafu tukitoka pale kwa Uhuru Park tutaenda mpaka kule Kamkunji grounds kwa mhadhara, kutana mhadhara ya Wakenya wote. Tungependa vijana wote wa Kenya siku hiyo waje na kofia nyeupe na kitambaa nyeupe kama ishara ya amani. Na baada ya haya sisi tunataka kwa kila wiki Wakenya wote wanaomba siku moja kwa amani ili uchaguzi wa 8/8 ifanyike kwa njia ya amani. Shukran. Asanteni sana.
All right, live proceedings there from Pan-Africa Hotel, where the NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga was just addressing the press ahead of his tour to Kiambu. There are several goodies he's promising them. He's going to ensure subsidized farming inputs when he visits Kiambu, and also Cooperative Enterprise Development Fund will be set up. That's one of the promises he's also making. He said that they will also increase the infrastructural development by making sure rural roads are accomplished and done. He also mentioned revitalizing coffee and tea sector. Two things were happening simultaneously. Judges' conference is happening in Mombasa right now, and the Chief Justice, David Maraga, is currently addressing the press. Let's listen in and find out what it's all about. All right. Oh, you just missed that just by a whisker there, but he was addressing the press just before the NASA presidential candidate was also speaking to the press at the same time. We'll be crossing over to Peter Mwangangi to find out what the highlights of the Chief Justice David Maraga's speech was. But for now, let's take a short break. Dr. Mwachonda is still with me. We'll be wrapping up the whole issue of manifestos and how it relates to health in the next hour. See you then.